Chat, welcome back, man, to another live stream. Today we're here to break down Lions Vikings. Did the rewatch, so it's time to dive into this one, man. I don't know how long this is going to take. Hopefully not too long. Hopefully not too long. We got a good amount of clips though, so we're gonna roll through them. You see the title though. The title's accurate today, very accurate. You know they're always supposed to be, but this one's pretty on the nose, man. Ton of ugly to go through. I kind of wish we could skip it, but we should go through it. Some of these things I'm watching, I'm like, I don't even know what the answer is to this. I don't know what we're watching here. So there's a lot of that. There is a little bit of good, so we'll highlight when we have it, because there is some, I guess. And wow, yeah, we'll just go through this one, man. We'll just knock it out. I mean, a lot of this is kind of surface level, though, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of this is pretty straightforward. What Dan said after the game is legit. I mean, he turned the ball over 6 times. You're probably losing that football game. But that's what happened. But it's the way that they went about turning the ball over. And I think on top of that, the fact that with all of these turnovers, you still had a shot to win the game, which is even more devastating because you should get blown out by a team if you turn the ball over 6 times. Let's be honest. That game should not be close. It should be over. You should go to half. I mean, this thing should have been over. And yet we just hung in there because our defense played pretty darn well. Rosemer had 0 passing attack. They ran the ball a little bit, but nothing really that explosive for them. So we kind of kept that in check for the most part. We got better in some areas defensively. Some guys actually played pretty good games. And yet offensively, when you did have a look, when you did have something that was set up to be successful, it didn't happen. And for whatever reason, we'll look at it, right? Whether that's ball getting batted down, maybe that's a poor execution up front, an interception. We didn't execute any of the opportunities that were actually presented, that we actually put ourselves in a position to go make. And I think that clearly we didn't put ourselves in enough of those spots. We didn't give ourselves enough of those opportunities to actually execute a play. There was a lot of it where you're like, oh, okay, they have no chance here. It's like, yeah, there's nothing's good coming to this. And I felt the short week. And the fact that Dan Campbell brought it up, I don't like that he brought it up, but I felt that it was pretty legit for this team specifically, that it was going to be a little bit rocky. But the fact that they came out in the second half, and I actually think a couple of the tweaks were smart, and it was like, hey, this looks a little bit better. But at the same time, you did so many things well. I don't want to say well, but so many things were at least positive enough on early downs where, again, similar to yesterday, what we said, there's no reason that you had 7 points at halftime. There's no world in which you should have had 7 points at halftime. It could not be the case. And it was the case. So let's dive into this. Let's not waste any time. Let's go through this, man. We got some good. We got some bad. Let's jump into it. I got a little graphic too that I'll showcase of like kind of really what the things that were keys coming into the game and how whether or not the Lions actually executed those things or they didn't. And I think in one area they did. I think in the other areas they did not, which is, that'll lead to losses, right? If you think there's the keys to the game and then they don't do them well, you're probably going to lose that football game. My man Ted, shout out to Daniel, everybody in here right now. We're going to get to this. Do I think Gio was just a wasted draft pick? I guess we'll find out. I don't know yet. I don't want to give him a conclusion yet. I mean, right now yes, it's a mispick because he hasn't done anything, but that doesn't mean necessarily that it can't be right. It just has to get there. I will say and look, if he was just our backup tackle going forward, I don't know that I would completely classify that as a miss. If you felt pretty comfortable with him stepping in, I do think that right now we saw it again in this game. He's a better run blocker than Dan Skipper. At least I would probably want to believe that. But pass protection, no. And Dan Skipper gives you more there right now in pass protection. And that's why he's the guy that gets to nod constantly. So I think that's just kind of the boat that you're at. I mean, neither of them are great when they step in, but I think you just get a little more reliability there. But it's kind of the thing with like Mahogany. Is Mahogany a missed draft pick? Well, potentially. But he was also a 6th-round pick. So could he end up being a missed round draft pick? Yeah, I think he could. But I think to this point, he looks like a hit because he's playing. He's on the field. He does some good things. But at the same time, is that the level that you want from a starter? No. But as a 6th-round pick, do you expect him to be a starter? No. Right? So I don't know. We'll find out. I mean, next year is going to tell pretty much everything, I think, with that, and then how they feel about it this offseason. Because I think for a guy like that, it's kind of similar to what happened with Mahogany when they go to the offseason. They're feeling real positive about its growth and his development and Mahogany specifically. And we don't really know this as fans. We're just like, all right, that sounds pretty good. We saw him for about 100 snaps. Sounds pretty good. Brad thinks he's improving. And then you see him, you're like, okay, wait a minute. This is a little bit messy. But you don't really know until you see it. In a lot of these cases, you kind of just take what they give you, and you're like, I don't really know. I mean, they seem optimistic on him. They didn't replace him, so they must feel pretty good about it. And then sometimes it just isn't there. So we'll find out next year. That's the long-winded answer to. We are going to find out very quickly. But let's jump into this, man, because there was a lot that actually I think it's kind of fun to watch back with this, just to kind of figure out like what in the world was happening. When you get a team that plays this fast defensively, it's like it's a lot of that. And like, what's going on here? I can just simplify it to the basic answer of like, hey, man, if you were better on the offensive line, you'd be good. And I think that's true to a lot of sense. And I think this game felt so much like, man, it would be great to have your vets out there. Like you had Dan Skipper, if you had a veteran Frank Ragnow at center, like it'd be great to have just some dudes with some seasoning on. I mean, truly, just to have some guys that have been there, that have been through this. Oh, it'd be amazing. Because even in the run blocking, and if you feel it across the board, we'll see it. You'd feel that too. It's like, hey, if we just had a guy that's kind of seen this before, that this was played out a little bit slower for them, and it wasn't so all over the place and just kind of it just felt like that constantly. It would be nice to have a game like that for this, or to have those guys for a game like this. So we'll start here. Let's start on the defensive side because there was a lot of positives defensively, and I don't think it's fair to not point out the good when I point out the bad. I mean, last week I'm getting on these dudes for the bad and why it's not next man up because you're not executing. Well, I got to give them the positives when they get them. I'll give them the negatives back. It's coming, but I got to give them the good things that they did. And I want to start with this first play here. And I want to start with the coverage from the safety position. I've kind of been on this train a little bit with Thomas Harper. I'm pretty pleased with how he does in coverage. He is incredibly aggressive. He's under contract next season. I hope he sticks around. I'm kind of at that spot with Thomas Harper now. He went out of this game, which stinks. I'd like to see him finish this game. Mills came in. Mills did some good too, and then he did bad, but he did pretty good when he came in. But like here, a little bit of quarters, he's aggressive. He's jumping on the play action. He's fitting the run, and then he retreats back in coverage. We kind of step down, take both routes away. Him and Daniel Thomas do a pretty nice job here. And then Harper kind of chases the route out as a broken play happens, doesn't allow for a pass for Brosmer. So I was pretty pleased with how that went down. It's like, hey, that's not too bad. That's pretty good from Thomas Harper. And the question that we had, or the thing that we needed to see get better, was we needed better run support out of those guys. It was like, hey, man, we like a lot of things in zone, but in run support, they got to be more impactful. And I'll give them credit, they were. Not to say it was perfect, but, man, they were way more impactful against the run. There was an aggression to their game, as we're seeing here. They're not sitting on their heels. They're going to make plays. And I was pretty pleased with that. And I think especially when you see a guy like Brosmer, and there's a couple opportunities where it's like, maybe a better quarterback sees that, right? Like he doesn't just completely get to his check down, but you felt that he was under duress. He felt like he was under duress and uncomfortable a lot of this game. And so they took advantage of that and they played an aggressive style and it worked out for him. So I'm pretty positive on how that ended up playing out. Let's go to the offense here. Here's the disappointing element of the offense. And this is why having 7 points at half is crazy. Let me just read through what the Lions did by down, right? This was the Lions on first down. Now, the disappointment, and Dan said this after the game, is that we didn't have an explosive run. And we talked about this last night too. Like we had that against Minnesota in the past. We'd pop a run. You're playing a team that goes 5-2. They go 6-1. They put everybody on the line. So there is no real second level there. Now, you got a lot to deal with immediately because you got a lot of movement up front, right? You have a lot to deal with. But if you can hit a crease, you could pop some of these. Lions aren't popping any of these runs. That's the disappointment. However, they did run the ball pretty well. I mean, if you look at them on first down, it was an 11-yard run pass option, which we saw into the flat. It was a 5-yard run, a 4-yard run, a 1-yard run, a 4-yard run, one play action play that turned into a sack, which was bad awareness. We'll see that. 0-yard run, 9-yard run, an incomplete pass, an outside zone for 3 yards, a lead run for 0 in the red zone, and then, of course, a sack before half. What you notice is a lot of those runs were actually pretty positive. I know I'm not reading those, and you're like, dang, dude, they were cooking. But you're like, hey, that's actually kind of positive. What was negative there was all the pass plays. And then even the same thing on second down too. We'll read through those. I'm going to hold that for a second, but we're going to read through those here in a second. Let's go back to this. Let's go back to it. Let's take a look at a run play and just see what happens, because unfortunately it's kind of like the run defense thing. And this is why it's fair to add nuance to some of this. It's not just the O-line. It's not just the D-line. Every time we have a big run that's given up, it's like the assumption is, oh, gosh, it's just the D-line. We got to get better. Like, it's not always the case. Like last week, the 2 big runs where defensive back run support was tragic. Well, a lot of our runs that weren't good, some of it was up front, no doubt. But some of it also you can point to maybe the running back. Did he really set it up? Really? Nah, not really. Didn't give us much of a chance there. Or tight end blocking. I was incredibly disappointed. It's not to say they didn't have good blocks. I think this first one is actually a pretty good block. I was disappointed. And I've been disappointed. And I think that's one of the most underrated elements that we're missing right now is we are backups across the board at tight end. And I just don't think we're getting consistency in terms of even just blocking assignments where things are just not getting started. And that was the key for us coming into this game. We said, hey, man, tight end blocking. Tight end blocking is going to be important. And not only in run blocking wasn't inconsistent, just in terms of picking up assignments, but in pass protection, it felt like non-existent. Like you left him in, it was like, okay, we're getting nothing out of this. That's disappointing. That's disheartening for a game like this. But we start off with a pretty good run here. We get a power run for David Montgomery. I thought Monty ran the ball pretty darn well. I still feel like this guy needs to get the ball more. And that's, again, not to say that Gibbs was bad. I just think some of these zone runs, Monty's better in terms of how he sets up blocks. And I think at this point, when you're not getting explosives at all, I wish we would just get more David Montgomery, to be honest with you. Here, they're going, though, to a power run to Dave Montgomery. It's actually blocked up pretty well here. Shout out to the tight ends getting upfield. We lean behind that right side. Tate Ratledge creates some real movement here. It's a pretty good run. Watching that, I'm pretty excited about that. Now, the unfortunate part about that is I read through all those numbers. And actually, let's now add this. Let's add the second down success rate. Because we actually were running the ball pretty positively on first down. And the only reason that we ended up scoring before half was because we picked up three third and longs. The problem is, though, you're going to see the early down passing attack was atrocious. And I think that's the most blanket statement you can take away from what happened to this offense. Outside of just turning the ball over, your early down passing plan was garbage. I'll be honest with you, it was garbage. It was poorly executed. You had absolutely no answer for 7-man fronts until the second half, which we started to see some answers. It was atrocious. And you see it by the results. Second down, we're passing the ball, sack. Power run for 5 yards. You hit one big chunk play to Jamison Williams on an in-breaker. Counter pull fumble. A drop in Tampa 2 coverage. Another play that's an incomplete pass on a quick route that got batted down at the line. They showed blitz. Outside zone for 5-yard screen that loses 5 yards and a 1-yard run. Second down was terrible. All right, second down was terrible, but a lot more of second downs were throwing the ball. So the weird thing is we actually kind of ran the ball a little bit with some success. Something that was like, hey, this could have been a win. Now, you weren't going to walk away from this game like, hey, Lions played good football. You were going to be like, hey, that was pretty bad. That was hard to watch, but we won. That's what this game had written all over it. That wasn't a fun watch. That wasn't very explosive. But to be fair, maybe there was some explosives out there that we never got to see because of the fact that you kept turning the ball over it. And I show a positive run, but we all know what took place in this game. We all know the things that we came up short with because of the mistakes that we made on our own. And that is still the overwhelming theme of this game, because if you eliminate some of those, you're walking away thinking, man, we played pretty awful football, right? Pretty ugly, but we won this football game because there's no reason that a team on the other side that can't throw the ball at all and has no explosives running the football, you shouldn't lose that game. You shouldn't lose that game. As ugly as it may be, you shouldn't lose that football game. And we lost that football game because false start, which should have been offside. I'll give him grace on that. Fumble on a quarterback sneak. Fumble by Jahmyr Gibbs. False start on a quarterback sneak on a 4th down and 1. That's how you played your first half. And then we get to the second half. We keep doing that. But that's how you played your first half. All right, let's go back to these clips here. Let's go to the defense. I said we're going to show some good, but we're going to show some bad too. We're going to show some things that weren't great. Let's show one that's not great here. Some of these are a little bit random, but I kind of want to highlight different things. Here we get a lead outside zone. This picks up 9 yards. Again, they didn't have explosives, which is why I give credit to the DBs outside of the jet run. But they did do much better. Their secondary run support was much better, and I'm pleased with that. I thought Derek Barnes actually had, in some ways, a positive gain. He set the edge a little bit against the run outside of the touchdown they ran in, which I didn't think was great. But also, Derek Barnes did a little bit in coverage for us, too. He was more aggressive to the flats. I thought even some of the completions that we gave up, he was at least trying to get underneath the number 1 receiver. So I thought it was a little bit of a positive trend here for Derek Barnes. And I'll point that out, too. This was not great. This is lead outside zone, but it turns into a counter. Lead fullback leading the way. Jack Campbell here, he needs to get back on this play. But notice the double team that we have to take. And this is just how we play defensively up front, right? We're going to deal with these double teams. We're going to settle down. We're going to expect our defensive linemen to handle business. Well, Lee McNeil did not handle business here, all right? And actually, the unfortunate part is I think Reeder has continued to play pretty solid football. Now, this wasn't the best. He held up his gap, couldn't really get over to the other one. But I thought Reeder had some positive plays in this game. I didn't walk out of this game thinking, hey, man, we got to get off a Reeder. It was actually the opposite. It was like, oh, man, he's playing okay football. Like, if he was under contract next year, I wouldn't be mad at it. He's not, probably won't get re-signed. But if he was under contract, I wouldn't be terribly mad. I'd be like, hey, he's not playing that bad, to be honest with you. Yeah, Anzo had a rough game. Anzo had a rough game for me. It was rough kind of across the board. And again, for the thing with Anzalone is, this is never the expectation of what's going to go well with Alex Anzalone, unfortunately. And I think when Malcolm Rodriguez came into the game, and I think I put a clip in here, when Malcolm came into the game late, they had the ball at like their own 1 yard line, that 3-play drive that they had. Malcolm Rodriguez came into the game, and I thought he handled business pretty well. He got a stack and shed stop for about a 3-yard gain. He went Tampa 2 on another. He actually handled business pretty well. Anzalone has to play a game like this. This is what Anzalone has to do. He has to aggressively fill his gap like this, and he has to be able to be a disruptor at the point of attack. Anzalone is not going to deal with an offensive line one-on-one. He's just not going to do it. It's not his game. You can't expect that to be the case. If you come into the game expecting that to work, and that's why I didn't point out Anzalone, you're asking for failure. Because this just not his game. I need Lee McNeil to hold his ground here, and he doesn't. He drops himself on the ground. That allows the climb. If he holds his ground, now all of a sudden it's Alex presses that line of scrimmage, the lane stays smaller, and then when he does try to drop off, I still have a big defensive tackle sitting there in the middle, and I'm forcing them to continue to scrape down the line of scrimmage. Instead, Aleem's sitting on the ground. Alex now can get climbed to, and he's not going to get over this block. There's no world that Alex Anzalone gets over that block. It's just not who he is. You have Alex Anzalone for what he does in coverage specifically, or for the speed that he plays with. And I thought the bad part of him is he played a little bit too fast in this game as a run defender. Now let's go back to the offensive side. There's just a lot of bad here. This one actually was good, but the fact that this was good is the disappointing element. I mean, this is the same thing that Minnesota did to us last time we played them. The exact same idea. Where it was like, hey, man, we're going to put their center and the running back combined. We're going to make those guys block. We're going to do the exact same thing we did last time we played this team, right? We're going to pick that center and we're going to wrap it around and we're going to go get the running back. This was the same thing that they did. And I think the credit that I'll give to Goff in a game that I didn't think he played great, the credit that I'll give to him is it was to a point where he was just expecting this to happen. He was expecting the fact that, hey, man, I'm gonna have to take off because I can't have my running back stepping in the A-gap and picking this up. It's not going to work. So I'm just going to be ready to run. I'm going to be ready to take off and run. And at least they got enough hands here to sustain some blocks. Goff was able to take off, and he made some great throws on the run. He's added this element this season. I've been really pleased with his spot movement this year. But then you get to a play like this, and this was bad from Jared Goff. That, as great as it was, and again, it's really the only reason we scored that drive, this was not good from Jared Goff. This was a bad spot that he put us in to start a drive. Now, we got back out of it, so it's not like the drive shut down. We scored the touchdown on this drive. But they go cover 2, which is pretty, I mean, you can see it at the snap that this is what they're going to. Now, they move a lot, so I understand you can expect maybe something different, but their 2 deep safeties are back after the motion. You're expecting some sort of cover 2. And you take a sack. He can't take a sack here. He can't because he knows he has a free defender. He just has to throw it somewhere. The fact that he took this sack is disappointing. That said, though, even the way that this plays out is disappointing. And this is literally the tip of the iceberg. It's going to get a lot more like, what am I watching here? This is just the beginning of what am I watching here. Right? Where Dan Skipper gives us some support. You know, you leave your tight ends to chip. We kept chipping and releasing. I'm watching this thinking, dude, what are we doing? Why in the world are we accepting the fact that we're just going to leave guys unblocked? And I'll tell you what, you're going to see this more when we go drop back passing from the gun because it was even worse. But the Lions came in and they just kind of said to themselves, you know what? We're cool with it. We're cool with the fact that it's 7-on-6. We're going to live with it. And I think with a veteran O-line, you can kind of do that because Minnesota's not always going to bring 7. They may bring 5, they may bring 6, but you would have the numbers to block it up. And then your expectation is, hey, if they do bring 7, we have to have a quick read to get the ball out. Not only did the Lions never feel like they actually had a legitimate answer when the team brought 7, it was like, hey, where are we going to throw the ball? Well, we're going to throw it to the outside. Okay, that makes sense to have your route concepts go towards the sideline because you're saying, hey, if they do bail, they're going to have to bail the middle. So they can't get out to the flats. We're going to have time to get there. The flip side to that was, though, is that's how the Lions kind of played this, is that when they did bring 7, Minnesota knew they have no time. They don't even have 7 blockers in there on some of these. We have 6. They have no chance to push this ball down the field. It's going to be a heave, which we saw the first pick was. They have no chance. So if we do outnumber them and we do get a free rusher, they have no opportunity to actually push the ball downfield. So we're going to sit back, play top-down coverage, and we're jumping everything. And for the Lions, it's like, yeah, there's not really a good answer for that. They are going to jump everything. And you just kind of accepted it through the first half. You're like, I don't know. And that's disheartening, man. A good passing attack over the last few weeks. Again, if you have a veteran O-line that consistently picks these things up, maybe you have a different mindset. But I almost feel like to a point, as much as I didn't want to do this, and I said in the preview, so it's fair, you kind of had to eliminate your routes. You had to eliminate routes to just say, dude, stand in and block for us. Because they tried to, in some ways, I feel, get a bit cute and say, hey, man, we're not always going to leave these guys in. We're going to kind of just slow it down and we'll get the ball out. And the answers that they had did not mesh with that. And the Vikings had a point where it's like, yeah, we're just going to take off on this dude. Now, this one isn't the primary example of that. They bring the cornerback blitz. Dan Skipper jumps out to pick that up. Now, I'm thinking, okay, hey, it's a DB blitz. I want Monty to step there and pick that up, right? That's what his responsibility would be. So if I chip Dallas Turner here, Dan Skipper, you would still have Dallas Turner on this play. You would just then have Monty pick up the defensive back. Well, if you watch on this play, Monty does go to do that, which is why he runs into the quarterback because the cornerback blitz happens. So Goff runs into him. But even on top of that, the biggest error is now you have a chip flat. Well, you know Van Ginkel's not getting blocked. You're looking at it. So the ball either has to go to Van Ginkel, which in this case is going to be hard to throw because it's cover two. Again, they're playing top down. And the answers are deep curls on the outside, which can be effective. Running a deep curl against the safety can be effective. But notice their safeties are not respecting anything over top. They don't believe we're going to have any time to get over top. There's no respect for anything over the top here. They're just going to sit on every route. Where is Goff supposed to go? Now, my disappointment here, and again, we scored on this drive, so I'm saying a lot about a play that didn't really matter in the ultimate grand scheme of things. But the disappointing part of this is, what is the answer for Goff? In theory, this is an answer, right? I can throw the deep curls against some safeties. My guys, yeah, they're going to threaten you vertically. J-Mo always threatens you vertically. But that doesn't really happen because they're like, yeah, dude, you're not going to have any time. We have no fear of that. We're just going to sit on everything. And then sort of for off here, I just need him to throw it at the ground. Okay, I get the flat's not there. He's going to jump it, just throw it at the ground. He doesn't. He takes the sack. It was a dumb sack to take. It was dumb. And now let's go back because we did score on this drive. But let's look at this. This is where things start to just kind of go off the rails a bit. When you're watching this offense, this is where, oh, dude, this is unfortunate because I've seen this for weeks now. This Lions team has been doing this week after week after week. We go to replacements, we go to backups, and we just can't block. And it's not that we're losing blocks. It's that we're not blocking. We're not blocking anybody. And I'm sick of seeing this, man. Like, this is the part where it's like, dude, at some point, there's no defending some of this. Right? You have a split zone block on the backside. He's going to go get Van Ginkel. And again, cornerback blitz is here. Now, one thing I did like the Lions had is the little run pass option. And they showed it later in the game where they would have the receiver leak out. And if the cornerback blitz, Goff would just flip it over there. He only did it once, but they had it in their playbook multiple times. It was a cool little wrinkle. I actually liked it. But here on the backside, there's no cornerback to get out wide here. So that's not even a part of this play because he's stacked to the line of scrimmage because, again, there's no receiver threat on that side. So here on the split zone block, when they down block, okay, tight end's going to take that away. Where is my lead back going? We're not giving ourselves a chance. There's no chance that we gave ourselves on a play like this. There's no reactive movement. There's no reactive awareness to, hey, wait a minute. What if that cornerback blitz is on the play? Maybe I should go tag that guy instead of just leading because, again, in theory, this makes sense. It's a 6-1 front. They're stacking the line. You have one off-ball player and a two-deep look. These are where you pop runs. So in theory, if that fullback can go hit the backer, we're popping this thing. But the problem is we don't even get ourselves a chance to do that. We have no chance to do that because we don't block the corner. So they're just like, hey, man, it's never going to get there. You might pop this, but it's never going to get there. But you don't give yourselves a chance to do it. That's frustrating. Giving yourselves an opportunity, we're not doing that. Ever it felt like in this game. We're just not going to give ourselves a chance to make something work here. Let's continue on with the offense. I think this is a pass here, but I'm trying to figure out where I'm at. So let me dial in a bit. This is the 3rd and 15 pickup. Yeah, this was a good 3rd down and long pickup. Not 3rd and 15. I think this was, how far was this? Was this 3rd and 15? I don't know. Maybe I didn't. Oh, no, it was 3rd and 10. Okay, 3rd and 10 pickup. This was a good find. Dan Skipper blown block, probably could have got called for holding. It was a good find. And this is where we did flash what we did well. And these are the things that we did well enough where you're thinking, hey, you should have won this football game. Because here's the problem, right? Here's the problem. You have an offense that has the brain power to convert 3 3rd and longs against this when you're not even blocking up front on 2 of them. And you're still able to get the ball downfield. You got the weapons to win, and you score a touchdown. How do you lose that football game? The other side can't throw the ball at all. Every pass is a check down. They have literally no passing attack. They threw for 50 yards, and you lose that football game. That alone should tell you everything. It didn't have to be pretty. We're watching plays that aren't pretty, but you can't lose that football game. Because one side clearly has an advantage that they can do things like this. You can motion across, get the tail with the slot corner rolling across and Byron Murphy that, hey, man, they're in cover 3. Goff can check to an answer. They bring 4, they bail out. We can find the answer, and we kept doing this. Goff was just anticipating A-gap pressure, and we were finding answers to it. It wasn't pretty, but we got the guys to do that. We mentally have the guys to do that. And you lose that football game, it's disappointing. And again, we ran the ball a little bit in the first half. Did we pop any of these? No. I wish we would have popped one of these. Again, look at the front. It's a 6-1 front. These should have an opportunity to pop. We didn't pop any of them. This would have been a 2nd down and 1. 2nd down and 1. I think this one gets behind Tate Ratledge, I believe, on this play. And you can see it's a good block, man. Gets to drive there, fits off it, picks up the backer. Ooh, that's going to pop. That crease is there. I'm not completely sure what Gibbs is doing here, but regardless, he played a good game, right? It was a little bit slow, but he made something happen. And then this play, this is a 3rd down and long. You shouldn't convert these. With how we were playing, there's no reason we converted any of these, and we did, which is kind of a miracle when you watch some of this back. That these driving, I mean, this is a 3rd down and 15, 7 guys on the line of scrimmage, cover 3 blitz here. We accepted the fact that we couldn't block this. We were just like, hey, we're not going to be able to block this, right? And Goff does a good thing off script, finds St. Brown. It's a pretty cool play. But watch it from this point of view. Watch the mess from this point of view. Now, I'm pointing all this out to show you that it actually got better in the second half, that we actually gave ourselves a chance in the second half. That's why I'm showing you this. I'm not just showing you because it's all bad all the time. There's a positive side, which is why when you see the positive side, you're going to feel like me and you're going to be like, dude, how did we lose this game? Because we actually figured some things out in the second half. And we still allowed ourselves to lose this game. We were making miracles happen in the first half. This drive we should not have scored on this drive. First off, what am I looking at here? I mean, we got to start with the most obvious thing in the world. How do you leave the A-gap unblocked? That is the last thing you leave unblocked. You cannot leave a free rusher through the A-gap. That's not going to work, dude. And at least Goff had the awareness of like, yo, hey, we didn't block the A-gap. I don't know. I got to believe this was not the plan. It was like, hey, just leave that guy and I'll take off. I got to believe that wasn't the mindset here, but it was. It's what happened. And, hey, at least if you're going to leave the guy in the inside, you can throw it to the outside because someone's not going to bat it down. I guess I'll give you that. I'll give you that here. And then we kept, and I don't know why we were doing this. I don't understand some of this. We kept putting our tight end like this off the line of scrimmage. And it was like he wasn't even blocking until the second half. He wasn't even blocking. He would just leave. And it's like, why are you bringing another body to the party just to not block? It's like if you bring the tight end in to block, okay, I got you, right? But he was just chipping and leaving. What is that? What is that, bro? You were bringing another body. You were inviting somebody else to the party to do this. God, you can't make this stuff up, bro. Oh my goodness. All right, hold up. Let me lock in here, man. Let me lock in because there's 7 on the line against 6. Or sorry, it's 7 on 7 with Gibbs, and we release Gibbs. Okay, so if they don't bring everybody, we should be able to block this. Yeah, we should be able to block this. Well, we don't because Kingsley goes to the right side of the line of scrimmage, which has 3 on that side, which is why Sewell jumps out. Now, Sewell, okay, got to give us some inside support here. We got to be able to bump this back down. And we do that, but because you have Gibbs leave, you have nobody for the A-gap. Because if anything, Mahogany needs to step in. I need Skipper to step in. I need that tight end to step in for Harrison Smith. And then if Smith doesn't go, now he can go help us. Well, look at the left side. We're playing 2 different games here. We're like, hey, man, we're just not going to block it. Now, it probably would have gave you problems anyway because Kingsley steps right, so you would have had a problem anyway. But the plan clearly here is a disaster. There was just a disaster going on up front, and we've had this for a while. I don't know what we're doing. Let's keep looking at some of these. Some of these are bad, dude. All right, here, outside zone. This one actually, I believe this was a positive. This is a 3-yard gain. Now, the fact that it's only 3 yards, again, disappointing. 6 guys on the line of scrimmage. They feared nothing. They didn't fear a thing. They didn't fear that one of these runs were going to pop. Minnesota didn't care. They knew we couldn't take advantage of this. How does that happen? You get a down block to seal here by Sewell. Okay, it's all right. It's not bad. And you get the combo fit here by Kingsley to pass it off with Tate. Not great. We're not really sustaining that very well. And it's just kind of a waddle to the 3 yards. Like we're not popping. We're not hitting anything. We're not setting anything up off of this. I mean, Cashman's not even filling the right gap here. And we're just kind of dancing to 3 yards. Let's keep going. Let's keep going, man. Let's keep going. This thing's going to get worse. I promise you. Yeah. Now, here's a problem that did show up, and I didn't realize this during the game. I was like, why is KO'd in the game? Because Sewell went out. So they put They put KO'd in his spot, which I guess it wasn't bad here, but it got bad. They put KO'd in the spot for Penei Sewell, and it was pretty rough. It was like, yeah, dude, that's just unfortunate that you had to go that direction. We're seeing some beautiful blocking here. I'm just going to let some of this run a little bit because I don't want to watch it that much. Here, KO'd, yeah, it's not great. It's not great. We were just in a bad spot with some of these offensive linemen here. Don't know what's going on with our center, Kingsley. You know, this is the problem, right? You're dealing with a slanting front, and this is where you would like to have some veteran leadership on the O-line. There's no awareness. They're slanting up front. There's zero awareness of what's taking place here. I mean, he's stepping down. I mean, we're just giving it up. Slanting up front, and he's playing the same assignment that he normally would if there wasn't a slant, but there is. Kingsley's put his head down. He's fallen over his feet already. There's no chance here. Well, hey, that's a 0-yard run for us. That's pretty good. That's where you would have liked some of the, just to have an older player that maybe would have just been a little bit more reactive to things like that. It probably would have helped us a bit. Now, here, let's get to the second half, because these are where, we kind of started doing some things right. We gave ourselves a chance, at least in the second half. And then I can't appreciate. The problem is we kind of lost any kind of run game, I felt like, in the second half, which is disappointing because we actually had it in the first half, which is why having 0 points is crazy. Second down and 10 here. Cover 4 blitz, but notice again, they got 7 guys from the line of scrimmage. We have a tight end. We have a running back in the block. Dude, we have numbers. We are able to pick this thing up. We actually have a chance to do this. And then we started sliding protection. And now all of a sudden we got on a string a bit because it wasn't everybody independently blocking. We started to play as a team, man, as a unit. We started to slide our protection, allowed Gibbs a very straightforward path. Hey, here's who you got to pick him up. And look at what happens when we gave ourselves a chance. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. And then, hey, St. Brown makes that happen. But this is always the name of the game, right? It's like, get it to your playmakers. If they're going to bring 7, at least have the bodies there to do it. Don't chip and release. If that guy's going, stand in the block and then go. But if they're going to actually rush, you can't release unless you're just throwing it right at that guy like we saw in the first half. But at least this gives Goff a chance to stand in. Maybe you can move some hands. You can't even move these guys' hands if you have no time. You have to just throw it. We gave ourselves a chance here in the second half, and I can be appreciative of the fact that they did that and that it was a little bit of an improvement. But again, blocking. Guys, what is this? What is this? Someone explain to me what I'm looking at here with Isaac TeSlaa. Let's watch Isaac TeSlaa here. I mean, my goodness, man. I mean, what in the world? Guys, what is this? Who are we blocking, bro? Like, it's one thing if he's going up to the next level to go hit somebody, like go, dig out a safety, but there's nobody there. There's nobody in the second level. And then Skipper, I'll just be honest, Skipper had a rough game, dude. You felt not having Taylor Decker in the game. You felt it. Skipper, it was a struggle, dude. Just run blocking was a struggle. Yeah, hopefully that's the part where Manu gives us some block. I think Manu could be a better run blocker. Pass protection just has to get there so that we can put him out there. Because this guy was struggling to run block. It's not that you can live with those, but you can understand them a little bit because you're like, hey, man, he's probably not going to run block that well. Okay, whatever. It's a downgrade, whatever. But this is why Monty should have been getting the ball to me. And it's not like it's going to fix all your issues, but I think as a zone rushing team, Monty has to get more carries. He's just good at it. He's good at it, man. And again, when they're going to stack and they're playing gaps aggressively and they're stacking the line, there's no second level to scrape. Dude, he can set things up and he can pop. As long as you get some hands, he can set some things up. It's exactly what he does here. It's a beautiful run. Sets up Wilson, puts the shoulder down, gives you 5 yards. All right, now we're moving the ball a bit. Now, I bet y'all can guess that this drive halted because the Lions had a false start on a quarterback sneak on a 4th and 1. That's why that drive stopped. Got no points on that drive. We watched a lot of good there. Got no points on it. You can't leave points on the table like this. We just needed some field goals, dude. Just put anything on the board and we're fine. We're just not putting anything on the board. We're just giving them the ball back. And it's like they literally were doing nothing with it. We just had to do something because what cost us is finally our defense breaks. They get a jet run that pops, the thing that's been beating us. But because you've done nothing offensively and you constantly have done nothing and you just keep giving them the ball back, eventually it's going to cost you. And eventually it took one play to cost us and just say game over. It took one play to do that to us. Because we just kept leaving opportunities out there. Here, 6 on 7. cover 3 blitz. We're outnumbered here because we have no back in the backfield. So if they bring everybody, we don't have a block for everybody. And they don't have to because, again, we're outnumbered. So now we've gotten to the point where we're fine with, hey, somebody's going to be probably unblocked here, and we end up getting sacked. But let me go back on this one a minute. Let me go back on this one. Look through this one a little bit better here. So we're in slide protection again, which is what we went to in the second half. I don't understand why if we're in slide protection, the tight end doesn't also slide. To me, that's just weird because I understand we're almost like just not accounting for the defensive back that's lined up on the tight end, which is, again, to me, why I don't know why we brought the guy to the party. Why bring the defensive back into the game? Why even slide him in to protect? What's the point? If you're going to be outnumbered anyway, why bring him in there? Because all you're doing is you're saying, hey, we're not going to count the guy that has him, all right, so that he can block the other guy. But what happens if his guy rushes? Now we just don't have a guy for him. Like, we'd be fine if that guy wasn't there, but you brought him in. You brought him in to block, and you don't account for the guy that's closer to the quarterback. You're having him account for the edge rusher. So if everybody's going to slide like this, and he blocks the outside guy, oh, great. That's a more clean path to Jared Goff. I mean, you got Sewell trying to block 2 dudes. Oh, goodness. Now they're coming after us right here. They got 8 guys on the line of scrimmage, bro. And again, they can do this because we keep putting a tight end in here. We keep bringing a tight end in. So it's just like, here you go. Here's another body. We bring the tight end in. Now, 7 on 8. Okay, look, this isn't great, but at very least, we got to block this properly. Like, at very least, we have to block this properly if this is how we're going to play it. And you're seeing it on the right side here. We're sliding to the right. And for some reason, Gibbs is picking up the defensive back that the tight end had. Okay, I do understand that. If this is going to be your result, fine, pick it up. But why on the right side then are we blocking outside in? Like, you don't have the numbers for this. You can't block outside in. You got to take the inside guy first. Watch this right side. It's almost like Penei Sewell is blocking this as if he expects Jahmyr Gibbs to pick up Van Ginkel, which if he does, he does. And then at that point, your tight end has to account for the defensive back to force Dallas Turner as the widest guy to be the rusher. So both sides are really not complimenting each other either on either side. We're not complimenting either side here because we're both doing 2 different things. So on this right side, you leave Van Ginkel for Gibbs to go pick up. Well, Gibbs ain't picking it up. He's picking up the DB. That's been his responsibility all game. So you're playing outside in on the right side. Great. Van Ginkel's free then. This is not okay. This is not okay. All right. You got a closer target to Jared Goff to get there. And then we just fired up the seam, which, I mean, at this point, guys, it was starting forever. So it was like, whatever. It was a punt anyway. I mean, I didn't have an issue with it because that's the spot that I would have threw it up to. It wasn't good, but that's the spot I would have threw it up to. I don't think they scored on that drive, which bailed us out. They played Tampa 2 and they picked it off. I didn't have an issue with where we were looking there, to be honest with you. Again, defensively, there were some good things. I mean, there was a lot of good things defensively, really, until the end of this game. There was a lot of good here. I think this one was DJ Reader, who I was trying to give some flowers to. Let me run it back here. I think this may have been Tyleek on the front side. Yes, Tyleek made a play. All right, Tyleek slanted his gap. He made a play here, and he forced the cutback. That's all it was. It just was him jumping into the A gap here, made a play. We're slanting across the board here. We're going inside out, just like teams do against us, and it forced that cutback lane. And then on this backside here, that may have been Derek Barnes. I thought it was Al-Quadi Muhammad. It was one of the two. I honestly can't tell who that is. But he comes in, he makes the play, good on him, and that may have been Barnes. Point is, I do like the fact that they made a nice little adjustment there. Lions went inside out on him, and we gave them some problems because they created some movement. So we tried to go make a play, and we did. It worked for us too. And then this was just a terrible interception. I'm going to be honest with you. This was the backbreaker because the one thing that showed up for me was, hey, I kind of like the play action on early downs. I kind of didn't hate it because at very least you would give yourself a chance to block everybody. And on 1st down and 10, you go single back. They're not having no off-ball players. So at least they have to hesitate to get there. Like, they can't get there immediately. So I didn't hate this. The problem is Goff rushed this. He just rushed it. It's cover 2. He rushed it. He rushed the fact that, Saint got bumped a little bit, but he could see it. There was no reason for him to rush this. He rushed this throw. He allowed Smith to jump it. If he waits a second here, he's fine. But he rushes it, and Saint's not out of his break. He throws it right to Harrison Smith. That was a bad decision by Goff. It was bad awareness. He rushed the pass, and now we threw another pick. I mean, with all this bad, someone had to, and this is the problem been all year. You have all these dumb mistakes that you make. Well, someone's got to have nearly a perfect game, and we're not playing perfect games anywhere. We're also just making mistakes on top of it to make it worse. This wasn't bad from Jahmyr Gibbs, but the blocking was pretty atrocious here, and which is what ended up catching us here, I would say, in the second half. Let me go to my other page real quick. We got a few plays left. Second down and 7. This is a 3-yard run. Tate Ratledge, a 6-1 front. Again, we're not popping anything here. I don't even know what I'm looking at on this one. I mean, this is, hold up, let's go back for a second. I think this was Tate Ratledge. I think that's who I put in here. Yeah, Tate Ratledge on this block on Levi Drake Rodriguez. It's not great. Kind of shuts that down to a 3-yard gain. That one had a chance a little bit there to actually pop, but it's always something different. It's always a different player that doesn't have a good block. Bad seal there. Doesn't happen for us. Let's go now to a 3rd down and 4. We found an answer here to Amon-Ra St. Brown, I believe. I think, yeah, we found a really good answer. And again, this is what we were doing better in the second half. We were giving ourselves a chance. They're stacking the line of scrimmage. You bring your tight end in, you leave your back in, you give yourself a chance to actually block this thing up. And this time versus the last time, look at how they blocked this. Now, guys, isn't this amazing? When both sides are on a string together, good things happen. We watched the last play where Penei Sewell says, all right, I'm going to block, in this case, Harrison Smith, and Gibbs, you have to pick up Van Ginkel. And Gibbs is like, well, wait a minute. If that safety goes and blitzes where our tight end is, then I have to pick that guy up so our tight end can continue to block Dallas Turner. However you want to do it is fine with me. At least be on a string. Finally, we looked at what the heck was that last time, and we came back and we all blocked. They all did their jobs. Penei Sewell goes inside out. Gibbs picks up the safety. That leaves the tight end to sit. Even if Dallas Turner doesn't rush, you had an adjustment. Everybody's on the same page here. And now, because you're going inside out, you can kind of work down in terms of, okay, we can slide this. We can kind of work this thing off. And we can kind of slowly work together here as a team in this slide protection to pick this rush up and give Goff a chance. Gives you a little head fake there, and then he gets over top of the standing edge rusher. So we have a completion on the 3rd down. Hey, man, that's pretty good. I was pretty excited. I was like, all right, they made an adjustment here. We got better. We learned from something. We learned from it. We figured it out. And then this happens. You know what? I give Minnesota some real credit for this. I give Minnesota some real credit for this because we thought we had something, bro. We did have something. And then the very next play, they're like, you know what? you want to block things inside out? Cool beans, man. We're gonna bring it off the edge. You're gonna chip your tight ends, and your tackles have no chance of getting out there because we're gonna put threats over your tackles. Your tackles are gonna have to stay in, and neither of them are gonna have a chance to block this. And then for the Lions, they go play action 3-step drop. Absolutely no chance. And they were in these wide stand-up alliance anyway. It wasn't something that's like, hey, this is not football. They're doing something crazy. No, they just kind of took advantage of how we fixed an issue. So credit to them for that one. But at least there was a chess match going on in that drive, so there was some kind of pushback we gave them at least versus whatever the heck was happening before, where it's like, we're just conceding the fact that we can't block this. And then here again, what was one of our keys in this game? Our keys were this: tight end blocking. Okay, not great. We didn't have a lot of jumbo because we didn't have Taylor Decker. Go at Jonathan Allen. Tate Ratledge had a blown block on Jonathan Allen, as we saw. Mahogany in pass protection, I want to see him individually. We've kind of watched the disaster, which was really more of a team disaster across the board. Attack the seams. We did it once through a pick. We never went back to it. We constantly lived on the outside until we finally came back to the seams. You're going to see when we finally have a play dialed up to work and we can execute it, we don't execute it. We're going to see that. Defensive back run sports had to be better. Run fits had to be better. They were a lot better until the end, which cost us. And then we talked about some of our matchups in the secondary, which was really good. We handled that well. And on 3rd and long, we handled it well. We executed some of these things, just not all of them. Watch this here. Watch my man Shane Zylstra. Yeah. All right. No chance. No chance, man. I mean, this is just not it. If we get a better block here, we got a shot. No. All right. Okay, here we go. Watch this. This one's fun. We go to a stretch run. We know we're outnumbered, so we try to run against it. This is why the Vikings were fearless, bro. Vikings were fearless, dude. Because they were like, dude, Lions, you guys can't block this. We're just going to play top down on everything, right? We're going to play top down on everything. And we set ourselves up for failure doing just that. Going to the stretch run on the backside, having no threat off the backside. It happens way too slowly. Kingsley has to go reach his linebacker. It's awful, so we can't get upfield at all here. And it just happens too slowly. and you set yourself backwards again. That one you gave yourself no chance on. We've had a couple of those each week. That was another one. No chance on that play. And then you get to this point where now all of a sudden the internal clock is just screaming at Jared Goff, where we have it blocked, but not really. We talked about tight end blocking and pass pro. Watch our tight end blocking here. This is pretty good. Okay. Yeah, that was pretty bad. Pretty bad, man. And we had to force a check down because we're on third and forever, because the play before we give ourselves zero chance as a rushing unit. No chance. And then we go to this. Now, I understand that this was only a 2-yard gain, but I wish that this was what our offense looked like a lot more in this game. I really do, because I feel like if we had to constantly play this game, we would have had a chance. Shout out to Mahogany picking that up. We would have had a chance, man. And it's like, hey, it was a 2-yard gain there, but if you constantly can do that and you give yourself that look, I think you have a chance to do something. We just didn't do that enough. We gave it one chance there, and you gained 2 yards on the play, and that was pretty much it. But that's because we kept turning the ball over. So who knows how many times we could have got the looks like that. Let's look at some more blocking that is atrocious. Here we go. It's always, hey, look, man, it's a team effort when you're trying to block, especially fronts like this. You just have to get to the second level. We can't get to the second level. I'm not sure what's going on here with our tight end on Redmond. We have no chance. We have to cut back out of it. That gets 2 yards. We'll go back to the defensive side a little bit here. We got a little bit more, I guess, to show defensively. Oh, yeah, this is the play that ended the game. This was the play that got us. Now, I'm going to show you guys the next offensive series. I'm going to show you where we made some tweaks in the second half. Our pass protection a little bit better. We found some execution answers. We gave ourselves an opportunity to play football. And I showed that last drive because we were playing football. Right? Was it as good as first half? No, not rushing the football, but we gave ourselves a chance in the passing game. First half, we had no chance in the passing game, but we ran the ball a bit. Second half, we gave ourselves a chance in the passing game, but we didn't execute when we needed to, and our run game fell off a cliff because guys just took turns. We're not going to block anybody. That's kind of been a story of the Lions for the last 5 weeks, and that's why we've been a passing team, right? So even when we had the run game working a little bit, the passing game was now no longer there. And that's just because short week, terrible execution, we didn't give ourselves a chance. And then here we go. This was the jet run. I still don't know what I'm looking at here. I think we're in man coverage by the way that we're playing this. We could be in zone. We're just trying not to get out leveraged. We could be in zone here. Sorry, let me go forward a little bit. I skipped a couple plays here. My fault. Here we go. We're getting there. Here we go. We could be in zone, just trying not to get out leverage and trying to bump things, but you have Jalen Mills communicating seemingly on this play. Fast motion across here to set up this jet run, and Mills steps down for a reason I have no idea. Because say we're in 2-man coverage here, I don't know what he's stepping down to here. I don't know what is it cover 2? What is Jalen Mills doing here? He steps down because he sees it. At least he sees it, but it sets a pick on our guy. And then DJ Reed, of course, follows his receiver in because he's probably manned up here. And that's why we have no edge contain. At very worst, if Mills just doesn't step in the way of Amik Robertson, we're going to get out there. But he does. He steps in. We block each other. And there you go, walking the end zone touchdown. And then let's go to this final drive because I think this is kind of just the frosting and whatever the heck, cherry on top of all of this. So finally, right, 7-man line of scrimmage, 4 deep coverage. We're constantly trying to go outside for some reason against that, and it's because we wanted to take away the fact that this could be the case. We wanted to take away the inside drop, but when we kept throwing to the outside, we were outnumbered. We didn't have the bodies to do it. So someone's got to be unblocked. Well, where do you think that unblocked player should be? He should be to the outside. Okay, well, now you're throwing into that, and it's getting batted down. That has no chance. And if you notice, their DBs, because we don't have the numbers to block them, are completely expecting the fact that, hey, guess what? We don't think they're going to go over top against us. So everybody is just playing top down. They're not even dropping. They're just stepping on everything. They did not fear for a second that we could push the ball down the field. And so when we finally made an adjustment to that, which is the next play, credit to them, awesome, we don't execute it. Right? Like, this is good. This is good. All right, hey, they're taking away that outside stuff. So here we go. Watch this. They want to get on the edge against us. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to leave our tight end in the block. We're going to leave our back in the block. But then on top of that, having our 7-man protection, we're going to attack the middle of the field. We're going to attack the middle of the field against these guys. And you had it, bro. You absolutely had the seam shot that you wanted to Saint. But look at when we're throwing this versus the blocking up front. This is not a matchup issue, an assignment issue. It's just poor pass protection at a really bad time. Kingsley Agukan gives an edge, and that's what this turns into. So that's the result. A play that could have been there. And then the very next play, snaps off Goff's hands, should have caught it. Bad snap. Both those things come together for us. This run was going to pop. This may have been the first run that was really going to pop a counter pull, man, we're sweeping that thing outside. This run might actually go. Nope, the snap's not there. We don't execute it. We're turning the ball over. So when the Lions, here's what I take away as an overall takeaway. You play a half of football where you give yourselves no chance in the passing game. Absolutely no chance in the passing game. You don't have the numbers to block. Where you are trying to go pass concept-wise makes no sense. You're feeding right into it. You're giving them no vertical threat at all. So your passing game has no chance. Until third down and long, when you make some miracle plays happen, Jared Goff does some wild things off script, finds some good answers because we have better quarterback play than they do. So we should be able to take advantage of that, and we do. We do enough. But you tie along the fact that you may have the better players, but you constantly beat yourselves with false starts and fumbles. It doesn't matter. You're just giving them the ball back. So we rack up no points in the first half outside of one crazy drive. We rack up 0. We can't even get a field goal on the board outside of that. We're playing with awful field position. We're letting them play with great field position. And still our defense keeps us in the game to hold them to a touchdown as well. Still they keep us in the game. Now we gave up a touchdown because they started at our 16-yard line, but at least we held up the fort enough to be in the game. But we should have been up by multiple scores, or at least a score going into halftime. Then you come out in the second half, you make some adjustments. You find a little chess match. You're like, all right, hey, man, we saw it. We saw the problems we had. Let's make some tweaks. We're going to block this thing up a little bit. We're going to have some answers in the passing game. All right, and we did. We had a couple things set up. Not everything. We had a little bit set up. And we gave ourselves a couple times. We saw the St. Brown out. We're picking up third downs. Like, all right, we got a little something going here. But now all of a sudden, execution-wise, we're back to the Lions that can't block a thing. We are back to the Lions in the second half that literally cannot block for the run at all. Not at all. So every run is 2 yards, 1 yard, 0 yard, -3. There's no run game anymore. Just like you had in the first half, it's gone. So even though you found some answers, your run game completely gone. It's torched. So now you don't have that anymore. And eventually you run out of time because they finally beat you on a big jet run. They finally go back to what's constantly giving us problems and they pop it. And all of these things that we did to get right, it wasn't enough because we didn't execute well enough. Made a lot of dumb mistakes. We don't know who the heck we're blocking assignment-wise. When we finally get on a string, we run out of time. We finally get ourselves on a string to give ourselves a chance, and we are out of time. And maybe from jump, that hits faster. Maybe if you have a world in which Frank right now is holding down the fort at center and he's communicating, and you don't have as much confusion as you have, or who the heck is blocking this guy? Well, I'm going to block this guy, so Gibbs has to block him. Wait a minute, Gibbs is responsible for that. Oh, shoot. Well, okay, maybe I should go here. Okay, well, let's figure that out. We figured it out, but we figured it out mid-game. We didn't figure it out from jump. We did not have a good plan from jump in the passing attack outside of the little RPO action that we had. And when we finally figured it out, we ran out of time because when we did have it there, we didn't execute enough plays to actually make it matter. We didn't run the ball anymore. We lost blocks up front, left and right. Our tight end blocking was absolutely abysmal, as it's been for a little while now. And you didn't have enough there offensively. So you just don't execute, you lose the football game. And that's what 6 turnovers does for you. You'd never put up points. If the Lions could have just scored on a couple of those drives, a couple field goals, we win this football game because the big jet run doesn't end the football game. We win this football game if we just score on a few of those drives in the first half. But because we had zero plan for a passing attack in the first half to actually protect our quarterback, which would have been an amazing idea, right? I mean, we scored on a drive where we didn't protect our quarterback at all. I mean, outside of the first third down and 10, we didn't protect him at all, and we scored on that drive. If we would have just had a little bit of a plan to protect ourselves and give ourselves a chance to just see what the heck is happening downfield, we would have been fine, but we didn't have that plan. In a short week, it absolutely showed up. In the second half, we started to find that plan. Can't run the ball anymore. Why? Because one thing that you haven't had for a while now is any kind of consistency in the run game. I wish we would see more Dave Montgomery. They seem to refuse to go that direction. On top of that, run blocking wise, Dan Skipper, it hurt us. Didn't block well. Didn't run block well at all. Kingsley Eguakun, he had some good in there. Had some bad too, though. KO'd comes in the game goal line. Dang, we're lucky we scored a touchdown there because that dude didn't block anybody. For 2 straight plays, he blocked nobody when he came in for Penei Sewell. It's kind of expected, but that's what it was. Tight end blocking, why do it? Why do it? We don't do it. Shane Zylstra, not blocking a thing, ever, ever. Wide receivers, oh, that guy's, we have no awareness. We're not blocking that guy. We'll let the cornerback, we're just going to let him go. All right, well, the run doesn't get started. These have been the issues for the past 5 weeks, and they showed up in a different way, but it was exactly what the Lions have been. Exactly what we've been in this stretch of win, lose, win, lose, win, lose, win, lose is exactly what we've been all season long, and it got us. And it knocked us out of the playoffs, and we deserve to be out of the playoffs because we could not find answers fast enough. Whether that was better execution, couldn't find it. Whether that was putting yourselves in a better spot, didn't do it fast enough, and you cost yourselves. This was a game of two teams that had no plan in the pass attack in the first half, but the Vikings couldn't throw the ball at all. You lost to a team that threw for 50 passing yards and had literally no explosive runs. Maybe one, maybe. Had nothing. Literally had nothing. And you lost to that football team. You lost to that football team. That's disappointing, man. And it's blame goes around. Coaching plan early, atrocious. Figured it out later, better. Offensive line, young, new guy stepping in. Had no idea what the heck they were doing until we kind of slowly adjusted throughout the game. Got a little bit better, but it wasn't there. Maybe if Graham's there, it's better. It wasn't there because of that reason. We were young. We looked young up front. We looked absolutely young up front, and it took us forever to find any kind of answer to finally give ourselves a chance, and we should have gave ourselves a better chance than we did. And then when you finally start to find some things, your execution is worse than the team that has Max Brosmer as their quarterback. Your execution is worse than that because either you don't block, you fumble, you have a false start on the 4th down and 1 because why not? Why? Because that's what the Lions have been. The next man up mentality has not been real. It hasn't been real this season. The next man up mentality is just a saying at this point because it's not true. Next man up for us means, oh, it's going to be bad. That's what it is. That's where the blame for coaching goes or whatever you want to blame it on. That's where it is. Next man up for us means, oh, okay, that's going to be a disaster. It's not just that we get worse play like when Dan Skipper's in there, right? It's worse play. But it's instead, Dan Skipper, you kind of know what you're going to get. Everybody else, I have no idea who we're blocking. I don't know what we're doing. And we're getting that from Vets. From Penei Sewell, he looks confused. He looks lost. But you have a backup center, next man up mentality in the game, and it doesn't seem like we can pull anything together. So blames to go around here. Our best players don't make enough plays in this game. And honestly, it wouldn't have taken a lot. It would have taken 2 more plays maybe. Or it would have taken, don't fumble the football. Stop fumbling the ball. Don't throw a pick, Goff. That's a bad pick, man. And he knew it. You saw his reaction because that's how the game was. We couldn't afford it. In a normal game, you could afford that pick because your defense gave up nothing. You would have been fine with I still don't have an issue with the seam shot, but you would have been able to afford the pick to Harrison Smith. In this game, you couldn't because everything else went wrong. So you couldn't make up for it. And it's a fitting end to a season that's very frustrating. But it's what they've worked for, or it's what they've worked towards for a while now, is games were going to constantly end like this. And as we continue to sit here every week, and I just had hoped, man, I really did. I had hoped that some of this was going to get cleaned up. And it was week on week on week of like, hey, man, I know they're young, but we got to be a little bit cleaner. We got to stop making our own mistakes. We got to control the controllables. Week after week of constantly saying that, it never got to a point where that was going to be a playoff team. It never got there. I wish it would have. It just didn't happen. So we'd lose, and we keep losing. And it's like, hey, it's just not there. Blame it on coaching. Some of it's on personnel. Some of it's on your best players. It is blame to go across the board for this one. When you got 6 turnovers, everybody's got a hand in that. And unfortunately, that's how it's been all year. What are we able to rely on? What can us as fans look at the Lions and say, hey, man, at least we got this? Everybody's got a hand in it all the time. And that's the tough part, man. There's no consistency. And that no lack of consistency is not a playoff team, which is why it's fine that we're not going this year. It stinks as a fan, but it's okay that we're not going this year because this team shouldn't go this year. And so for that reason, as unfortunate as it is, I'm okay with the fact that we're not going to be in there because this team didn't deserve to get there because they couldn't win a close game all year. They bullied some teams because they were better up front, but they weren't better than many. And they haven't had the personnel to do it up front all season long. So you just keep dropping games, man. There will be roster turnover. And the unfortunate part is there's guys that I'd like to keep. I'm still a fan of Rocky Sin. I think he's played better and better. I think he's playing good ball right now. Thomas Harper's under contract. I want to keep him because he responded. Don't allow a game like this to shut off everything that could be positive. That's why I showed it. Our keys to the game, tight end blocking, atrocious. We got to get better at the tight end. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind that one of the most obvious things the Lions have to address this offseason is tight end depth. It is terrible. It's bad. It's bad, man. We need to get better blockers. We need tight ends that can block. It's bad. I like Fursker a bit, but we got to figure that out. This has to improve. No question. This was a game to do it, and they didn't do it. Some of these things we did execute on. Mahogany actually wasn't completely atrocious. I mean, I thought he stepped up a bit for us. We just didn't communicate as a team. I don't even know what to look at with Mahogany because as a team, we just kept taking ourselves off the field. I would have liked to see where this was going to go. This game was on a silver platter to get a real look at guys like that, and we didn't because we just kept taking ourselves off the field. Attacking the seams, we did it twice. One was an interception. The other one was off St. Brown's hand because we don't block it. Defense backs had to fit runs better. They did. They did. Thomas Harper, I'm pretty positive on Thomas Harper. Mills, pretty good until the last play. I'm pretty positive on Harper. I'm pretty positive on Rocky Sin. I like both those guys. I'd like to see them both back as Lions. I really would. That's where I'm at this very moment. I'd like to see both those guys back here. Make them earn it on 3rd and long. Kelvin Shepard did that. Respect to him. And on top of that, all this zone that he's been playing on 3rd down has actually been for the better. I mean, I was sitting there pounding the table like, yo, I like the man stuff. But to his credit, going back really to the Rams game and even before that, he made an adjustment to say, dude, we are playing zone on 3rd down. And to his credit, it's working. It's working. Give him credit for that. It's better. And because of the fact that we don't have the guys right now in the secondary to match up one-on-one, that's been a lot of his adjustment. We're not going to win one-on-one. We can't win one-on-one, and we see it every week. As soon as we give those one-on-ones, Maddox loses one-on-one. Somebody else just beats us. Our depth loses. Our depth loses one-on-one, so he had to go to that. And to his credit, it's worked. It's been a positive adjustment, and it worked again this week. We didn't give them anything. We made them earn it, and I appreciate that. They had to earn a scramble on 3rd down. You weren't just going to get it. You weren't going to get everybody. Here comes everybody. If you have an answer for it, we're cooked. Kelvin Shepard wasn't going to do that. Kelvin Shepard, to his credit, the biggest credit I can give him is, one, he went out on a limb to say we got to change up how we're playing defensively. I know we don't want to, but we have to. And as much as I bang on certain things, I will give him that credit. He changed it up, and in a lot of ways, it was the right move. Give him credit for that. And number 2, he stopped putting it in the hands of, if we're just going to lose, we're going to lose. He said, I'm taking that away from these dudes. Because I remember, and I'm not defending that, he's going to be the guy going forward. I'm just saying a couple things that I can give him credit for. When Aaron Glenn was here, I remember early on having problems with Aaron Glenn because Glenn would constantly say, cover one blitz. And you'd watch it, and I remember the Saints game was a great example, and you're like, dude, we don't have the guys to do this. I understand it's what we want to be, but we can't do it. And we would just give things up because we couldn't do it. We wouldn't win. And Kelvin Shepard, at very least, better late than never, I guess, kind of, he realized we don't have the guys to do this. We got to stop. It's got to stop. We don't have the dudes in the secondary, so I'm going to stop doing it. I'm not banging my head against the wall. That's not enough. It's not good enough. And unfortunately for Kelvin, he will reap none of that positive sentiment because the Lions kept losing football games. He will get none of the credit for that because we just could not win a football game. But I'll give him that. Not saying everything was great, but I'll give him that. Lee McNeil, it's got to be better. Whatever it is, it's got to be better because right now it's not good enough. It's not good enough. Get some pressure, but it's not good enough, and he knows that. But right now, whatever this offseason, I think it'll help him a lot. He's coming off a very significant injury. It's very understandable that it's going to take some time to be the normal you, but I really do hope next year he looks more like the normal him. And I tend to believe in him, but it has to get there, and it's not there right now, unfortunately. It's not there right now, not consistently. And we leave our players' strengths and weaknesses out to dry. We talk about the Alex Anzalone stuff. In some ways, you're leaving them out to dry because the strength and what you built this team on up front, and for guys like that, they're not delivering what you expected of them. So because of that reason, you leave your teammates out to dry. And it stinks, but that's just the world of football. It's an 11-man sport. It's 11 guys on the field. You guys have to be working together. You have to work off of player strengths and weaknesses. And if that player's strengths that you perceive that you're going to lean into is not there, it will expose others. And I think we saw that. It exposed others. There's good here, but it's just not enough. It's not enough right now. Chat, I see you guys throwing edge rusher names in there. We'll see. I like TJ Parker a lot. A little bit lower on David Bailey, I think, than most will be, but he can absolutely get after it. I tend to lean more offensive line if I have to right now. If where lines are sitting, I'd probably lean much heavier O-line because I think that needs to be fixed first and foremost. First and foremost, however you want to do it, free agency is going to come first. That has to be addressed first because this is not good enough. And it won't be good enough. It cannot be good enough. Marcus Davenport did some good things, but you don't recognize any of that because we keep losing football games. And you won't realize it until the things that you expect to be really good are good again. Until you can be a team that can actually run the ball with some sort of consistency or every once in a while create an explosive, it's not going to matter because that's who you are. At your core, you are that. Give me better tight end run blocking. It needs to happen now. That has to be addressed. And maybe just that's Brock Wright and Sam Laporte to come back. Give me a third one. Draft another tight end. Give me a third offensive tight end that can block. I need one because right now our third cannot. Absolutely cannot. Give me a third one. I need another one. Give me another old lineman that'll play tight end because I don't have it right now. I need that to be better because that's costing us right now. And it's costing us a lot when we have to lean on those guys. We don't have answers. Give me more depth on the O-line because when we're injured, we clearly don't have the answers here. So maybe it's as simple as you need more bodies to give yourselves depth behind. We're not even talking starters. I just need better depth. I just need more out of my depth. So when I have to start getting creative and how I'm moving things around, I can. Lions right now feel like they have no answer. They don't know where to turn. They have no idea where to turn on the offensive line. They're trying everybody. They're trying everything. Let's rotate Miles and Cologne. Let's go to the Kingsley. They're trying everything up front. They don't know where to turn. That can't be the case next year. It's got to be more straightforward next year. However you want to do it, you have to have an idea of where to go. And the Lions don't have that idea of where to go right now. They don't know where to turn up front. They have no clue. That's got to be fixed this offseason. These are depth fixes, but depth matters. And we've seen this year after year, depth matters. And maybe some of this is as simple as some of these young guys will develop, and I hope that they do. But right now, there are spots right now that have not been earned. They can be earned, but they have not been earned. Christian Mahogany has not earned being a starter for the Lions. Can he be? Yes, but he hasn't earned it. So in my eyes, you can't go into the offseason thinking that's a starter for us. He hasn't earned it. Who's earned being your starting center going forward? Nobody. There isn't a player on this team that's earned being starting center. Could that be Tate? Potentially. But nobody's done it. And that's partly on you because you haven't put Tate there. So we don't know. But somebody's got to take that. So that's two spots nobody's earned. Right guard, Tate Ratledge, I'll tell you, he's the closest. I still don't feel like for sure he's surefire should be the starter going forward, but he's the closest. Because at least I know what I'm going to get, and he has been on the field consistently, which matters. Being reliable matters as an O-lineman, as we're seeing this year. A guy that plays a lot matters. That fights through it, that matters. He's earned, I think, probably about as close as you can get to being a starter somewhere on this offensive line. And I can appreciate that as we hit the offseason because he will be there for me. Regardless of where I put him, I'm pretty sure he's going to be there for me. And that's who he's always been. Respect to him for that. He's earned it. Right tackle, Penei Sewell, he's earned it. He plays through everything. I don't know how this guy came back. He's just going to be there. Taylor Decker, you're not on the field enough right now, dude. I love Taylor Decker. He's not on the field right now enough. So you better have another option. Because if you don't, that's on you. Taylor Decker can start. But will he start? Will he be healthy enough to start? That's a question right now the Lions have to answer. And right now the answer is no. If he's here and he's available, he is the starter. I'm cool with that. But right now, I can't rely on him right now because he doesn't play enough. So I need somebody behind him that I feel good about. And could that be Manu? Maybe. But has he earned that yet? No. Because Manu's not consistently available. Has Skipper earned that? No. No. He's not a good enough run blocker. I mean, that's just where it's at. I would have no issue putting Tate at center next week. I think it'd be fine to do it. This could be the time to do it. I'd have no issue with that. You got to figure it out. Because otherwise, and this is not a must. Like I understand that as a fan, I'd like to see it that way we have something to go off of. But I also can recognize that these are decisions they make, that I have zero say in any of this. I have no input in any of this. So the Lions don't owe me as a fan to see him in the game. They have to be able to make that decision by themselves. I don't have a say in this. Me seeing him has no say in this. And for their perspective, They have to make that decision regardless of what they want to do. Just like they made the decision that they felt good with Mahogany, and it did not pan out this season. It's unfortunate. It just didn't. So they have to make those decisions regardless of what I see. I would like to see it as a fan so I can see what it looks like, and I know that it's something to build off of, but they'll have to make that decision. So whether they do it or not, it is what it is. They can still make that decision afterward. That's why you have the coaching staff you do. That's why it's not a public voting poll that they put up and they're like, all right, guys, what are we doing this week? That's why you hired them. You hired them to make those decisions, and you hired them to trust them that they know what they're doing. That's why Hank Fraley's here. I trust to know that he knows what he's doing. And that if he believes that's your starting center next year, then that will be your starting center this year. And if you don't have that confidence, you have to get new staff. It's just where it's at. And they're not going to do that. They're not going to fire Dan Campbell, and I don't want to fire Dan Campbell. I trust him. I trust Dan Campbell at this point. So that's fine. Dan Campbell will make that decision, and I will believe in that decision. But that's just where it's at right now. Trying to think of anything else that's standing out. Cornerback depth. I like Amik, but he's not under contract, and unless it's a cheap contract, he's probably not coming back. Rocky Sin, I'd like to bring him back. DJ Reed's going to be here. Terrion's going to be here. Ennis is going to be here, but as a fan, I have no idea what I'm getting out of Ennis. I have absolutely no clue. So it's got to be addressed. Safety depth. I know what I have in my starters. Are they consistently available? No. So I need to hit that. Who is my fourth safety? Because right now it's Harper, and I have no idea who else. Thomas played a better game this game. I'll give him credit. I thought he played a good game. But I also don't think Minnesota could put any kind of stress on him downfield, which is the unfortunate element. I don't think they could. I like Thomas. He can come back for competition, but he's not a lock to be a backup safety. Avonte Max, I like him. He's not a lock to be a backup safety at this point. He just can't be because he's not available. And I know that's like, hey, man, dude, that's not completely fair, but it just feels that way. You're not available, dude. How else can I make my decision? What do I think of Keod? Absolutely not a starter. Absolutely not. And that's one of those rides that I think at this point, the train's kind of left the station, man. You got to go a different direction. He's not a starter. When he steps in as a starter, he's not reliable. I like Keod. He can be here for competition, but there has to be another answer as well. I hate to see Anzalone leave, but some of these might. Rocky Sin, Kirby. Well, Kirby can't leave because of what we did financially, the investment. Rocky Sin could. He's a free agent. Anzalone could. He's a free agent. So those are two, absolutely. Kirby definitely won't because they just have way too much invested there. So there is no, like, you put your eggs in that basket. There is going nowhere. And I don't want to see him go anywhere necessarily. I'm just saying there's no, unless he retired, which would be unfortunate, that's the only way something like that can go down. Wide receiver depth, JMO, St. Brown, Tesla are under contract. I like those three. Again, this roster is not in a terrible spot, but there's things that are clear at this point. I'm really happy with those three. Tesla's finally become a real red zone threat, and they found a way to use him, and they trust him. I love Isaac Tesla. I feel really good about Isaac Tesla. I feel really good about Khalif. He's just a free agent after this year. But I feel really good about Tesla. I feel really good about those three. I feel really good about JMO. He's earned that to me. He's earned to me. Is he perfect receiver? No, but he's earned to me to feel really good about that. I'm happy for JMO. I'm proud of what JMO has done this year and what he's become recently. And I'm there with Sane as well because you paid him. You have to be. And typically, I'm going to feel really good with Amon-Ra St. Brown. So I feel really good about that group as a whole. There's a lot of areas I feel really good about. A lot of them. I don't really know a backup quarterback. I don't really know what to know there. I have no idea. I feel good with my starter, though. I feel pretty good with my backs. Monty's under contract. I like Dave Montgomery still. As rough as it's been this year, I still really like Dave Montgomery. But I think the fact that it looks like it does with Monty is a result of everything around Monty and less about him. So we'll see if they decide to do something financially. It doesn't open up a ton of cap. Graham does. He doesn't really. It opens up a little bit. Next year, he'd open up a lot more. But I like Monty, and I feel good about him. I like Anzalone, but if he leaves a Super Bowl athletic playmaking linebacker, would be a dream. It is, but it's just hard to find. It's just hard to find it. AG has done a ton. Picks we can bundle deal to Jets. I would give Roy Lopez. I would absolutely give Roy his contract. 100%. I'm with you. He was one guy that we said this offseason I believed he would get an extension. He's earned that. He's absolutely earned an extension to me. 100% he will get that. And I'll feel really good about that, especially with Reeder probably walking in free agency. And again, I don't have an issue with what Reeder was doing. It just, at this point, I don't think there's a straightforward path to bringing him back. I actually was pretty positive on Reeder towards the end of the year. I felt he played pretty good against this team as well. I've been pretty positive on Reeder for the last go. It's not like he hasn't earned potentially. If he was, like I said, if he was already on a contract, I'd feel good about him being here next year. The fact that he's not, though, is what makes it difficult. That's where it's a problem because I think he's going to outprice us. But at that point, I had no issue with how Reeder played towards the end. And Tyleek's essentially became a starter, to be honest with you. He's essentially been a starter over the last few weeks. He's got room to grow too, but he's kind of been a starter. He's playing a ton, and he plays up and down the line for us. It's good value, but he's basically penciled in as a starter now. And we got 3 guys that are basically starters now. I think going forward, our first 3 picks, they're all starters. Tate, Tesla, and Tyleek, they're starters going forward. So with that, I'm going to end it here, man. Actually, hold up. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Make sure. I think I hit on most of the things I wanted to. Rodriguez. Malcolm Rodriguez is a free agent. I liked how he played in those 3 snaps. I wish we could have seen more. But he played 3 good snaps for us. He had a stack and shed stop on an offensive lineman. I was proud of Rodrigo for those 3 snaps. I know it's small, but I was proud of him. I thought that he helped us where we needed it in that spot. Make sure I'm not missing anything else. DJ Reed got more to prove. That guy's on the ground too much. He's on the ground too much. I like him in quarters. He's just on the ground too much when he's matched up one-on-one. Best veteran free agency available? Well, there's a couple that are coming out this year. I don't remember all of them off the top of my head, but there's a couple coming out this year. Obviously, Linderbaum's going to be at the top of the market. There's a couple coming out this year. There's a couple. Yeah, he got destroyed on the goal line, but I have more issue with what Derek Barnes did there. I don't like what Derek Barnes did there. I thought Derek Barnes was way too slow to fill, and I think for Rodriguez to stack and shed and have to make a stop there, it's going to be nearly impossible. So I have more of an issue, I think, what Derek Barnes did on that play. I think Hutch may have lost his gap a bit there too, but I did like the push that we got up front as well on that one. So we'll see. That's I'm not sure what they're going to do with that. What's bigger need, O-line or D-line? O-line by a mile. It's not even close. It's not even close. It's not. I promise you it's not close. We can get better on the D-line, but it's not close. A lot of these issues, run defense, are because of the way we play stylistically, were our defensive backs. This run defense, while it wasn't great yesterday, and we need Aleem to get better, Aleem McNeil's getting paid too much. Aleem McNeil's making like $18 million a year. There's no path to let's just replace Aleem. There is no path for that. He's going to be here. But the O-line needs a lot. You could win with this D-line, especially if Aleem gets back to who he is. If Aleem gets back to who he is, I feel pretty good about the D-line again. But the O-line, oh my goodness, do they need to get better? They need multiple positions to get better. Because I can't win with whatever the heck that was. This team with the personnel, again, it's all on a string. We need the D-line for the type of linebackers that we have. We need it for Alex. If it's not there, he's going to look worse. You need this O-line for Jared Goff. If it's not there, he's going to look worse. And our offense is built around that. It's who Dan Campbell is. That is who we are built around as a team, to go for it on 4th down, to run it on 3rd and short. We don't have any of that right now. That needs to get a lot better. But also tight end blocking does too. And I won't overlook that. Some of that, Brock and Laporta, they're under contract. But that, oh boy, that needs to get better, because that's who you are. And it's also who the players around you are built through. If that's not there, everything else will struggle. I wish we could have seen Goff this year with that offensive line for last year. I wish we would have gotten to see it. It's one of the most devastating things in my mind is that the way that Goff finished this year, as rough as it was against Minnesota, that we didn't get to see that O-line with this offense this year, with the growth of JMO, with the growth of Tesla. It is one of the most disappointing things out there. It is so disappointing that we didn't get to see that. It's devastating we didn't get to see that. And maybe Frank does come back. I don't know. And I would like to see it. I would. I'm not counting that out. I don't think it's an insane idea that he'd come back after a year of getting healthy. I don't think it's crazy. He's not that old. To me, that is like one of the most unfortunate things about all of this, is that we just didn't get to see it happen. And it makes all of the evaluation on things very muddy as well. So get that right. Because if that's not right, we're not the Lions. We are not the Dan Campbell Lions if that's not right. So get that right. Over everything, get that right this offseason. Everything else, whatever. That has to be better. Okay, I don't know what my man Malacora is. I think you're speaking deep to me, and I just don't understand it. But hey, what you just said, that might be spot on, my guy. You might be spitting. I just can't tell if you're spitting or not. I don't know what that means, but I see you. Chat, we're gonna get out of here. Dose of Draft will have another video, if not multiple, hopefully this weekend. That's the plan. Would make Frank reduce his contract? Definitely. Yeah, I think so. I think on his current deal, it's too much. So yes. And I think he'd be willing to do that. If he really wanted to come back, I think he'd be willing to do that as well. But it's just because we don't know, right? We just don't know. I think it's only right that just because we don't know that you would have to reduce some of that. But man, I would have loved to see it. I would have loved to know what it looked like. That way I can know going forward. I would have loved to see it. Because if that's the Frank of old, I'd be fine with this contract. There's a reason he got it. I'd be fine with it. But it just, well, I just don't know at this point. Merry Christmas, absolutely. The content won't stop. Bleacher Report we dropped today as well, so if you want to check that out. Dose of Draft will start to really pick up because that's where we're at right now, unfortunately. But we're still going to have fun with a week left to play. Hopefully we learn a lot in this last game as fans because there's a lot that we just don't know from the inside. So hopefully the Lions give us an opportunity, whether they do or not, that's in their hands. But I hope we get an opportunity to learn a lot about some of these other guys and we can make some good decisions as we hit this offseason. So we'll see how they approach it. I mean, again, if I was the head coach, I'll be honest, if I'm the head coach, I don't really care what the outside thinks. So in my eyes, I don't necessarily need to see this guy so that everybody can feel good. Like, that's my decision regardless. So unfortunately, if I was the head coach, my whole mindset would be, we got to play better football on that. I don't need to see, this isn't a preseason game. We need to win this freaking football game. We are there to beat the Bears because that was embarrassing. And if I'm the head coach, I am not cool with being embarrassed again on the way out. You are not going to embarrass me, Chicago. It is not going to happen. I'm doing everything I can with 11 days to beat that football team. Everything I can. I'm pulling every string I have. Whoever that means, we are beating Chicago. And that's completely my mindset going into that game. How they play it, we'll see. How you would play it on Madden, how you'd play it as a fan is probably different, right? I'd like to see Tate play center. I'd like to see Manu get the nod over Skipper if it wasn't Taylor Decker. I would. But if I'm the Lions and I'm Dan Campbell, I'm doing everything I can to beat that Chicago Bears team. Everything that I can, I'm throwing it at that team because that was embarrassing. And I'm tired of having embarrassing losses down this stretch. There is pride that goes into whatever that is. And the Lions have been playing absolutely very unprideful football over the last few weeks. It's been ugly. And it's been ugly for a while. I'm doing everything I can to beat that freaking team so I can leave this season knowing that I beat that team. You know what I mean? This thing is not going to end like that. And if it does, it does. But it's not going to be at the hands because I let it end like that. That'd be my mindset of absolutely going into that game. We'll see how they play it, but that's how I'd play it. Anyways, I look forward to it. Got one more game. I probably won't watch them at the playoffs because I'm sad, but that is what it is. We're on the draft. Check out Dose of Draft. We will have more content really heating up this week. I appreciate you joining, man. Again, yes, Merry Christmas. Happy New Year to everybody out there. And I will see you guys soon. We out, man. I appreciate it. Hungry Panda, Detroit Sports Talk, Technical Jeff, my man's name that I don't know how to say, but he was breaking it down, I think. Ryan, we out of here.